Every sport has its what-if stories, moments that fundamentally alter the course of history. But perhaps no player embodies the cruel, heartbreaking finality of that question more than Grant Hill. He was the ultimate package. The son of NFL star Calvin Hill and a businesswoman, he was destined for greatness in sports. He had the genes and the name. But it was basketball, not football, where Grant would shine. He committed to Duke University, and under Coach K, Hill became a national sensation, a Duke royalty, and a two-time NCAA champion. He was smart, articulate, and immensely talented. From 1990 to 1994, Hill led Duke to 2 national championships, appeared in 3 Final Fours, and made perhaps the most iconic assist in college basketball history. The full-court pass to Christian Laettner in the 1992 East Regional Final. On the court, he was a 6'8" small forward with the athleticism of a guard and the court vision of a point forward. In the mid-90s, when Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls dynasty was at its peak, Grant Hill wasn't just good, he was one of the few players genuinely mentioned as the heir apparent to the throne. He was a perennial all-star, an all-NBA first-teamer, consistently putting up spectacular numbers. He was on the Hall of Fame trajectory. Then came the 2000 NBA playoffs. A seemingly innocuous ankle injury. It was a crack in the foundation that would ultimately lead to years of devastating, career-altering setbacks. A moment where the promise of a future GOAT candidate was shattered. Today, we're going to discuss the story of a player once considered the next Jordan. A player who had the game, the intelligence, the grace, the charisma, and the popularity. A player so dominant but had failed to reach his full potential before it even began. This is the story of Grant Hill. The story of what could have been. Grant Hill entered the league in 1994 as the 3rd overall pick, and he immediately made his mark. In his rookie season, he averaged 19.9 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He tied for Rookie of the Year with Jason Kidd and, in a sign of his immense popularity, became the first rookie in NBA history to lead the All-Star voting. When he declared for the draft in '94, he was seen as the safest bet since Tim Duncan. Before Tim Duncan, he had a high basketball IQ, the poise of a veteran, and a rare blend of size and athleticism. His game was a unique blend of power and grace. He was a point forward before the term was commonplace. While others focused on scoring, Hill was a walking triple-double threat every night from 1994 to 2000. In his second season, he became the first player since Larry Bird to average 21 points, 8 rebounds, and almost 7 assists in a single season. This wasn't just great, it was LeBron-esque before LeBron even made the national spotlight. He was a legitimate superstar in a league transitioning from Jordan's reign. He made 5 All-Star appearances, averaging 21.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.3 assists, and became one of the best small forwards in the league. From 1996 to 2000, he made 4 consecutive All-NBA second teams and was named to 1 NBA first team. He was the unquestioned leader and face of the Detroit Pistons franchise, tasked with pulling them out of the post-Bad Boys slump. In the 1996-97 season, he finished 3rd in MVP voting, behind Karl Malone and Jordan. Think about that, in a league with Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and Jordan, Grant Hill was the 3rd best player on the planet. He was only 24 years old. He was also a commercial darling, the antithesis of the Bad Boys, and a clean-cut, charismatic leader. He was the hope of the Pistons' resurgence. The future of the franchise with a very high potential for years of winning and dominance. His career was peaking, and the sky seemed like the absolute floor for his potential greatness. Everything was leading toward multiple MVP awards and a championship. Then, in the spring of 2000, the trajectory of his career changed forever. By then, Hill was averaging 25.8 points per game for Detroit. It was a contract year, and he was set to become the most coveted free agent on the market. But then it happened. With just a few games left in the regular season, Hill twisted his ankle. It seemed minor. But the Pistons still sent him out to play in the playoffs. That decision proved disastrous. Hill's ankle gave out, and the injury worsened. Here's where the tragedy began to compound. Hill has since stated that the injury was initially misdiagnosed and was largely played on, including in the first round of the playoffs against the Miami Heat, where he eventually broke his ankle. Hill's ankle injury was misdiagnosed by the Detroit Pistons medical staff, who initially called it a bone bruise, not a hairline fracture. This led him to play on the injury, which worsened it to the point of breaking the ankle and resulted in a non-union or the bone not healing properly. I had been told everything was fine. I even found out that certain team doctors were questioning whether I was really hurt, thinking I was soft or whatever. This was after I had pulled myself from Game 2 against the Heat. At that time, when I found out I had broken my ankle, as crazy as this sounds, I was relieved. I finally had some confirmation. I finally had proof that I'm really not making it up. The dispute between Hill and the Pistons medical staff regarding the real situation of his injury is one of the major factors that led Hill to decide to leave Detroit for the Orlando Magic in a sign-and-trade, forming a super duo with a young and electric Tracy McGrady. The expectation was that they would immediately challenge the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs for supremacy. At that time, Jordan's dynastic Bulls have been dismantled and the Eastern Conference is wide open for the taking. But for the next 4 years, the Magic's dream of dominance never took flight. The initial misdiagnosis and mismanagement of the Pistons' medical staff ultimately led to 3 more years of surgeries and complications for Hill's ankle. In the 4 seasons immediately following the injury, from 2000 to 2004, Grant Hill played a grand total of 47 games. 47 games in 4 years. That is less than 1 full season. It was a hellish sequence of setbacks, multiple ankle surgeries, infections, and constant pain. In 2003, his struggle became life-threatening when he contracted MRSA, dangerous staph infection, following a surgery, nearly costing him his leg, and tragically forcing him to miss the entire 2003-2004 season. A career that started like a dream, and was torn apart by injuries, surgeries, and what-ifs. Think about what was robbed from us. A fully healthy duo of McGrady and Hill. T-Mac was a scoring champion and MVP runner-up in those years. With Hill operating as the primary playmaker and secondary scorer, would they have won multiple championships? It's impossible to say they wouldn't have. They had the talent to be a dynasty. And in a light, Eastern Conference without the Bulls? They could have been a consistent finals participants if not champions. But Hill refused to be defined by his injuries. After all the pain, the surgeries, and the near-death experience, he emerged for a partial return. In the 2004-2005 season, 5 years removed from the initial injury, he was named an All-Star again, averaging nearly 19 points per game. It was a miracle of resilience. The world was finally seeing a glimpse of what he and McGrady can do on the court when they're both healthy. But the injuries never stayed away for long. And for Magic fans, it was heartbreaking. For Hill, it was worse. He went from being the potential face of the league to a cautionary tale. In 2007, Grant Hill made his way to the Phoenix Suns. No longer the electrifying, gravity-defying superstar of his youth, he reinvented himself. He became an incredibly smart, lockdown defender, a reliable shooter, and a veteran leader. This was the most improbable second act in NBA history. Playing alongside Steve Nash and Amare Stoudemire, Hill learned to conserve his energy and rely on his elite basketball IQ. He played 4 consecutive seasons of over 80 games for the Suns, a feat that would have seemed utterly impossible 7 years earlier. He went from missing 4 straight seasons in his prime to becoming a fixture of the run-and-gun Suns team that reached the Western Conference Finals in 2010. He may have been a shadow of his 90s self, but this version of Grant Hill was arguably more impressive, a testament to his sheer mental fortitude and passion for the game. Hill played until he was 40 years old, retiring in 2013 after a final season with the Los Angeles Clippers. His career spanned nearly 2 decades and included a miraculous recovery that defied every doctor's prognosis. He finished his career as a 7-time All-Star and a Hall of Famer. But the story of Grant Hill is forever etched with the question of the man we never truly got to see. Let's put his Pistons numbers back on the screen. 21.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, 6.3 assists in an era where NBA defense was at its peak. He would average 30-plus points per game easily in today's NBA. He was just entering his physical prime at age 27. Had his ankle remained healthy, what would his career arc look like? He would have likely continued his triple-double threat for another 5 to 7 seasons, easily putting him in the same statistical realm as Oscar Robertson and James. He was the kind of player who could lead a team to a title, a dominant two-way force who didn't have the ego problem that derailed other potential super teams. We could be talking about Grant Hill as a top 15, maybe top 10 player of all time. He had the physical gifts, the intelligence, and the perfect temperament. A perennial MVP candidate, multiple champion, and a place on the Mount Rushmore of his era. He would have defined a generation. But the injury did more than just steal his statistics. It robbed him of his prime years, the very years where players cement their legacy and enter the all-time great conversations. Yet, the enduring legacy of Grant Hill is not the sadness of what he lost, but the triumph of what he saved. He saved his career. He rebuilt his body, and he proved that true greatness is often measured not by the championships won, but by the battles fought and the resilience shown. Grant Hill's career is a beautiful, brutal reminder of the thin line between immortality and injury. Today, Hill is a part owner of the Atlanta Hawks, the managing director for USA Basketball, a game analyst for NBC, and a respected businessman. He never became the next Michael Jordan, but in a way, he became something rarer. A Hall of Famer whose story is less about his talent and more about his indomitable spirit.